when you consider health, what do you typically think of? You typically think, oh, gotta go to the doctor's office. Oh, time to get my colonoscopy done. Oh, but there's more to it than that. There's actually 3 aspects of health that you probably didn't consider, which are going to be social health, mental health, and physical health. And then we have the other ones. They're not as important, however, they still are very important, and each of these is even connected to one of these, and these are all interconnected as well. First one we're going to cover is physical health. This is the one that typically everyone considers when they think of health. This is going to be like sickness. This is even where sexual health is going to be put. It's going to be where your overall strength and aerobic capacity, like where the heart and all the organs, the health of everything in that nature, even drinking, that's going to play a role into that. This is the one that you can go to like a doctor for, and they will help you with, they'll prescribe you a bunch of stuff, but they're not really going to solve the underlying condition, just because that's the way that modern day medicine works. It's, all right, here you go, now give me money, now I'm just going to treat the symptoms but not the cause. In future videos, I will go how to improve this aspect. With the next aspect, this is mental health. This is another very important one. Like a doctor, you go to a therapist for this and they will, fix the problem. It is important to have people to talk to in your life, which is where the social will eventually come into place. And with mental, this is going to be mostly how you feel and hormone health in the brain. So dopamine, serotonin, those type of things are going to play a big role into that. They are going to be very interconnected. So if you're depressed and anxious, you're not going to have the mental capacity to want to work out. You're going to feel unmotivated to work out or stick with that diet or overall do generally healthy habits for your physical health. Likewise, if you're not pursuing physical health, you're not going to work out, you're not having a proper diet, that's going to show in the mental health, as the hormones that are generated by this have a big impact into this. Now, you also have the social component, and this is where we interact with one another. It's another thing that's overlooked, and especially during the crappy pandemic. This was a big one that a lot of people didn't have access to, and it's that physical connection in person that even online sociality is not really gonna help. You need to do it in person, and that's why you saw turns during that time on, oh, there's less people interacting with each other, so more people are going to be depressed because of it. And likewise, during that same era, people weren't working out as much because gyms were closed. Big effect on that. Everybody's went down during that time. Physical and social are also connected, as social is going to allow you to learn more about those things, and maybe you'll have some friends that will influence you to go work out and improve your life, and you're like, hey, that sounds good. And if you have bad social connections or no social connections, you might not feel as obliged to go to hit the gym. You're not going to feel that same pressure. Looking down at these other ones, we do have financial. This is how you manage your money. This is going to be whether you save, what you're spending it on, and even some things that you didn't know about money. And there's a book called Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. A very good read. It'll even teach you a lot of misconceptions about money that you wouldn't have otherwise known about. Let's just take this, for example, and compare it to one of these physical. Okay, well, if you don't have money and you're not spending it on things that would help you, like a gym membership or a proper diet, or even, let's say, the medicine that the doctors prescribe you, if you don't have that, then this is going to suffer. There's things that if you're in social settings, a lot of times you're going to have to spend money. Same thing. If you don't have the money to be able to be social, yes, there are areas that you can do it for absolutely free, but there are activities, like if you want to go putt-putting with your friends, that's going to cost money, unfortunately. Intellectual, you're thinking, isn't that like mental? Isn't that just all in the brain? No. Intellectual is different than that, because it's being able to think intelligently, being able to think effectively and efficiently. And if you can't make those quick-witted decisions or any decision about your life, then all the rest of these are going to fall apart because you're not being able to think properly. And especially because both of those are in the brain already. That's a big thing right there. Those are highly connected right there. My favorite thing to say about that is like being able to train it with puzzles. You're able to do that. Like that's why older people, what they'll do is they'll do crosswords in the morning to sharpen the brain so that way that doesn't fall apart, so these other things don't fall apart. And I mean, if you want a good puzzle, try figuring out if Epstein killed himself or not. That's a good one to add. Occupational is going to be the next one, where it's going to be highly connected to financial, because that's how you're getting the money, and then you have to learn, all right, how to save it, how to acquire it. And if you want to start your own business, those are especially important to be interconnected like this, as you need to spend money in order to make money in business. And occupational, there's nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5, but periodically being able to work your way up in positions, that's going to be the most effective use of your time, and being able to constantly look for promotions and being able to own your own thing, because believe me, you're going to be able to make a lot more money if you're doing your own thing rather than working for somebody else. Spiritual is another one. I don't care personally what you believe, but as long as you believe in something, this is going to give you an overall moral compass. It's going to allow you to think more vigilantly about good and evil. And now, all right, now you're seeing how more of these are interconnected. Oh, now we're thinking with a moral compass. Now I can make intellectual decisions that will otherwise affect this as well. The last thing is going to be environmental, and it's going to be how the environment affects us. Now, it could be a social environment where people can influence you or, pressure you. That's where that comes in. Or even the physical health aspects that can come from the environment, which would be, okay, well, now I'm just inhaling smoke. It's not too good for me. That's another thing. It's important to cover this because we need individuals to better themselves nonstop. And if we can have better individuals, we can have better groups. And if we can have better groups, then we can have better societies. And society down the road, you need to keep having generations be better than one another. And that's how you get advancement overall. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, well, that's big picture. That doesn't really affect me. Yeah, but don't you want to feel better? Don't you want to be able to have better goals for yourself? Be able to improve every single one of these so that way you don't overall just feel better, but you can see that your life's moving in a positive direction. That's going to be at the small scale of things, which is going to be important to every single one of you watching this. It wasn't always this way. Now, if you even look as early as, even mid-1900s, they had exercise programs in school that were highly focused on having the individuals be as best as they could. They had weight loss facilities, they weren't necessarily weight loss facilities, but it was still a concept that they wanted to focus on. Over time, that's just been shifted further and further back. And now we're to the point where you look down the road, you see this 300-pound man who's unhappy with himself, damn near about to commit suicide, and you're like, okay, how did it get that bad? It's because the media has been pressuring us, and the lack of awareness on the issue itself and the degrading nature, that adds up over time. People are like, okay, well, I don't want to be associated with that, or okay, well, I could just take a pill and it'll solve my problems. And that's to the point. Or even during, like I said, that era of the global illness, that played a massive role in all of these. Because now you have people who are inside all the time, they're not working out, they're not eating properly, they're not socializing, they're spending their money on stupid things that keep pleasuring themselves. They're not going to church. They're not working. They're just getting lazier and lazier by the day. And that adds up, that has a compound effect. And that is where we stand today. What can we personally do about it? Well, we can learn more. We can keep learning and learning and learning and spreading that information to others as well. we need to be able to be highly educated on the matter so we can help ourselves. And once ourselves are helped, then we can start helping others. Now, you probably think, oh, that's not very empathic of you. That's very selfish of you. No, it's not. You need to be able to understand these things for yourself before we can start improving the lives of others. Take an example. You're at a doctor's appointment and you have a fat doctor. Are you going to take exercise advice from him? Absolutely not. You're going to go to a physical trainer, and if they're muscular, you're going to be like, hey, I want that one. That one's going to help me get to my goals. And that's because it's an example of what to do. And then you can do that same thing for others. And being able to help others is a very great thing. You're going to start feeling very good about yourself. It's going to affect your mental health in a very positive way. Not only that, but there needs to be more legislation on the issue, which that's going to be a whole nother thing in itself, where more awareness in schools needs to be met, and that can be done through more legislation. And bringing back the PE instead of cutting it out, bringing back health programs, that's going to help significantly, because now people are going to be learning that at a young age, and they're going to take that with them. They're going to learn, okay, this is how I work out for myself, or this is how I properly eat. This is how I can socialize with others. And more classes. Why don't we have anything in high school about finance? Oh, we have economics class. Yeah, but you're not teaching us how to use our own money. You're just teaching us how it works systemically. You're not teaching us, okay, here's how you be smart about it. Oh, but yeah, no, it doesn't exist. And if it does, it's very piss poor, unfortunately, and constantly needs improving. So, the end of the day, that's what we're here to do. We are here to help you better all of your lives and help others benefit their lives. Especially if you're going to have a family, you need to make sure your kids are going to be healthy. You make sure that you're being able to take care of your parents. And if you can spread that education to them, then they're going to have a better, higher quality of life, and they're going to be able to even take care of themselves for longer. So that way you don't need to stay side by side with them forever. Teaching you how to get a wife, to teaching you how to be Wolf of Wall Street hustlers, to getting you that Giga Chad body, this is Health Bomb. Peace.